This is technology that will blow your mind, but really help your mind. Good evening, Dan York State of Mind on an off day. You know, every once in a while, rather than rushing into the news of the day and the issues, we call these programs, I don't know where we ever came up with this word, but evergreen shows, you know, programs when I need a day off or there's a holiday or the like. And I enjoy them because I actually get a chance to spend more time with my guests. And what we do is we find as many interesting people as we can to talk about things that may be off the beaten path. And I want you to know that anytime that you think that you've got a fascinating story to tell that needs to be told in less or more rather than the 4-minute segments and 8-minute segments that we run for guests in this program, you know, please let us know. And at the end of the show, when I put up our Your State of Mind graphic where all those ways to get in touch with us are available, I want you to feel free to jump on that. Boy, we saw this story in the paper recently in the Providence Journal with this headline, Unburdening the Mind. And after we saw this back in January, early January, like Tuesday, January 7th, I think, Nick Blair, my producer, and I said, let's get a hold of this guy. And so Dan is here, and he is another fascinating guy to talk to. Welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's great to have you. And I'm especially touched by some of the conversation that we're going to have here because we're going to talk about technology that helps people with disabilities at first glance. In fact, the picture, one of the pictures in the paper in the story is reflected, I think we have one right here. This woman, and if you can read that, it says, "My legs don't work, but my brain does." Now, let me tell you, I can't tell you how much that resonates with me. My mom, I was telling you before we started the show, my mom was a full quad. She had a terrible, terrible, terrible case of multiple sclerosis, and she battled with that for 30 years. And so her last 10, 12 years of her life, well, more than that, she was a full quad for probably 20 years, but the last 10 or 12, she couldn't eat, she couldn't drink. But let me tell you something, to her last day, if I needed advice, I would go to her, and I would, she was my mom, even though her soul was completely intact and her brain, albeit damaged, was fully functional.
Right.
Nothing else worked. You're working with people like that. And so you know
That's right.
how valuable their lives are. So I thank you in advance for the research and work that you're doing here. All right, enough of me. What are you doing, man?
Yeah.
Tell me about what's going on, and then we're going to demonstrate some things. You don't miss the rest of the show. Okay.
Absolutely.
You are a guy who's a young guy working with all sorts of new technology. Tell us about your organization.
Yeah, sure. So, you know, a few years back, I was doing research at Brown University with the BrainGate Research Group, where we're actually developing implantable medical devices.
Okay. The BrainGate Research Group is what and where and what?
Yeah. So it's at Brown University. It's a joint effort actually between Brown and Mass General Hospital up in Boston.
All right.
And the objective of that program is to develop medical devices to help people with disabilities as well. And not to get into too much detail about that, but it's relevant because I was in this group doing software development, hardware development, and basic scientific, neuroscientific research. And I had this great opportunity to actually work with the patients in our clinical trial. And there were people like Kathy, who you saw in that picture with that really amazing sticker that she has on her chair. And so the experience for me was working with individuals with disabilities who had whether it be ALS and a neurodegenerative disorder, or spinal cord injuries, or brainstem strokes, where they were left unable to speak, unable to move their limbs. However, like you already alluded to, mind's completely intact.
Right.
And so as an engineer, I'm sitting there looking at this problem of, well, their mind is fully intact, and they want to communicate and live their lives just like you or I would. But they're not able to.
And they deserve to.
And they deserve to.
And the system is not very accessible to them.
That's right. And so what I observed and what countless people have to go through is there are technologies out there on the market today. Things like if you're paralyzed from the neck down but you can still move your head, there's a device that will track your head movements to let you control a computer. Similarly, for someone with late-stage ALS, there are these devices that can actually allow you to use your eyes to control a computer to communicate. The problem is these devices are upwards of $15,000.
Right.
And because everyone has different abilities and different needs, they very often fall short to do what that individual wants it to do. And so you're left in a situation where, frankly, more often than not, this $15,000 system sits in their closet. And for me, and many other people, I mean, everyone knows this is a problem. This isn't like one of those things where you talk to people and they say, yeah, I'm happy with my device. Everyone is frustrated with the assistive devices that they have. And so what I started doing as part of, as a researcher in this clinical trial was, I started building one-off solutions myself. And it was, instead of a $15,000 custom computer, it was actually things like this, which is a webcam mounted on a pair of glasses, a $5 webcam, a $2 pair of glasses. Hook that up to a standard computer that you or I have already, and then create some software to enable someone to communicate through that piece of technology. So essentially what we were doing was building a $20 solution that actually worked better than the $15,000 solution because we highly customized it to what that individual wanted it to do.
It's absolutely fascinating. It's the mind of the engineering student. Syracuse University, then Pitt.
Yep.
Master's.
Yeah, master's degree.
Okay,
yep.
so that's what you have right now, the master's. Engineering students are fascinating. My dad was one. I'm not an academic type, but it's amazing the way engineering guys think, gals and guys think, and always trying to figure out how to do it better, faster, quicker,
Sure.
and in this particular case, also cheaper, because you were seeing the economics of all this technology that never really actually hit the mark.
Right.
You know, if you're going to hit the mark, you're going to miss the mark. Miss it for $5, right?
Yeah, and the issue here too is that, frankly, the engineering isn't the difficult part. What I've learned, kind of being in this role of doing clinical research, was that there's this huge gap between technology creators and healthcare providers, and especially caregivers for people with disabilities. There's this monumental gap. And so you talk to an engineer and say, listen, here's a design challenge for you. And they love it. They eat it up and they can solve the problem. You then go to the really talented speech and language pathologists and occupational therapists that work with individuals with disabilities, and they don't even know that what engineers are capable of. They don't even know that it's possible to take a webcam and put it on a pair of glasses. And
so they don't think to ask.
They don't even ask. It's kind of a case of you don't know what you don't know. And for us, at the very least, I think what we can do is bridge that gap.
All right, we're going to have Dan kind of explain exactly how he might show some of the technology that he's working on, and then talk about his organization and all that kind of good stuff. This is fascinating and important. Stay with us. So this is some of what you'll see on the website and how you kind of learn about the Speak Your Mind Foundation. Dan Bacher is the founder, right, of this organization, and you found the organization, working as an engineer with another organization at Brown. And
Right.
so what did you do? Hybrid your time? You began to say, you know what, I'm working for a living, but I got to do this other thing, and now you're doing this full time, and you're doing a what do we call those things? The Indiegogo's. You're looking to build your business. So I want you to send this guy some money and invest in this whole thing. You know why? Because this work is so hugely important. So before we get to a demonstration on some of the technology that Dan is working on, and we'll show you that in our next segment, so don't go anywhere. Talk to me about what you're trying to organizationally get to here.
Yeah, that's great. So we, after kind of building a set of a few prototypes, right, for individuals that we knew locally that had needs, communication needs.
Prototypes to remind everybody.
Yeah, for individuals with disabilities who are, whether it be a head tracking device, an eye tracking device, a piece of software that made it easier for them to communicate or send emails, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So after having success in kind of building some of these little one-off prototypes, we decided, listen, there's a real opportunity here, and there's certainly a great need out there. And so what we did is we formed the Speak Your Mind Foundation, and it was myself and a few other people at Brown who have helped support this work from the start, helped me, found the organization. And now what we're really looking to do is take this approach of taking off-the-shelf hardware, creating custom software for individuals, And we're doing it in a really unique way also.
Yeah, I don't want this. I don't want this the terminology to blow by you, because I think sometimes you look at these shows and you go, off-the-shelf hardware. You're talking about stuff you can buy on your own.
Stuff you can buy. It's going down to your local Best Buy and buying a webcam.
Right.
It's using a Microsoft Surface tablet like the one I have sitting here.
Okay.
It's not like we talked about, this custom proprietary device from one of these large device
inside your
manufacturers.
organization, you are fiddling and diddling with really, really cool ways to use for equipment that is accessible to people to be able to improve their mind to function ability, correct?
Yeah, it's really all about opening up the opportunity to, we use the computer as a conduit, but it's to open themselves up to communicate with their caregivers, their friends, their loved ones, their doctors.
Yeah.
And
any doctor that's watching this ought to be very invested in this.
And we've kind of started in the world of creating technologies to help people at home who have chronic disabilities. However, there are many instances, think about the hospital ICU, people have surgery and they're intubated.
Right.
They can't communicate verbally, and maybe they're too weak to use their hands to write on a piece of paper. A lot of the types of devices we're working on could work in that setting as well.
Okay.
So
you've developed Speak Your Mind. You are you're raising money. You're in one of those short term and with only a couple of weeks left.
That's right.
When we recorded the show, it was a couple of weeks back. You had raised about $20,000. You're looking to raise 50. And with that 50,000, you'll do what?
Yeah, that's right. So on Indiegogo right now, our campaign is live, and what we're trying to do with that $50,000 is really go from prototype to product. So we have a series of prototypes like the things I have sitting here on this table,
which we'll show you.
Which will be great. And the idea is let's take those and get them polished. We already have a small number of clients we're working with, and the idea is to support our efforts to continuously iterate and improve on those devices.
The small number of clients meaning patients that you're working with?
And we call them clients because for a lot of people, they're not patients, right? They're not having medical care. They just happen to have motor and speech limitations. Okay. And what we're trying to do is create a device that will allow them to communicate more effectively.
But I don't think it's subtle when you differentiate between patient and client. I say patient so that you understand what he's talking about.
Sure.
You say client because you're treating them as people who, a product and a service, and you're not looking down on them.
Absolutely.
The pity thing is not there.
No, absolutely not.
And they don't want to be pitied. They just, damn it, want to be able to function better if they possibly can.
There you go. And I think, that picture you guys showed of Kathy Sticker in her wheelchair, I think encapsulates our attitude towards this as well. There it is right there. My legs don't work, but my brain does.
Yeah.
Kathy is just an incredible person who happens to have suffered a stroke 16 years ago and is unable to speak. And I think, if we can do even a halfway decent job of creating something that will let her express her personality and interact with her environment, we've done something really truly remarkable.
All right, the Indiegogo. Sometimes you think, what is that? That is a new website where people can actually, for a short period of time, put their stuff up and raise some smaller contributions to build a new business. And so it's Indiegogo.com, correct?
Yep. If you go on Indiegogo.com and search for Speak Your Mind, you should be able to find us.
All right. So make a note of that. When we come back, I want you to see what Dan is working on, and I think you'll get a more tangible understanding of how cool it is. The website that you'll find when you check out speakyourmind.org. And by the way, that will link toward the Indiegogo project that Dan Bacher is working on. Young man graduated from Syracuse in 2007, then went to Pitt for his graduate. So we're not talking about, a world veteran here, but I'll tell you, the technology is incredible. You're a kid. You know why I call you a kid? Because I'm really, really old. So he's not moving. He's not mad at me, and he's not catatonic. He's just about to display some of this technology that he's been working on to help people with disabilities, many of whom can't move and or speak, communicate. So this monitor that he has right here is on, over his shoulder will be on one camera. Okay, so there's, and that thing that's moving is being moved right now by you, and then everything else you can kind of, so you take over the show, man. So
yeah, sure.
What are you doing there?
So what I'm doing right now is we've developed a piece of software that will allow someone who is paralyzed from the neck down but can still control their head to actually control a computer. And so see that little blue dot on the screen?
Yeah.
As I talk, it's moving a little bit too, but I'm actually controlling it with my head movements. And what you see on the screen here is a keyboard. Now, it doesn't look like a standard keyboard that you and I would use, but what we did is we developed a piece of software that was optimized for using head movements. And so what I'm going to do is just type out the word hello for you.
Okay.
And if you, maybe a good way of explaining how this keyboard works is if you remember the old T9 word keypad cell phones, it kind of works in a similar way in that all you have to do is hit a group of letters and it will kind of figure out what you're trying to type. So I'm going to go ahead and type the word hello by just moving my head ever so subtly. And you can see the word hello showed up on the right. And by just flicking my head just a few inches, I can type out words and phrases. And so the idea behind this is that it's much more efficient than using kind of the standard keyboard design.
You know, we didn't prep on this. So let me throw some.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a caregiver, and I want to say, so Dan, how are you feeling today? Can you give me an answer on that? I know we'll see if we can get that on the monitor. How are you feeling today? Which is a typical question that a caregiver would ask somebody. Good.
There we go.
Are you hungry? Did you eat this morning? Are you hungry? What do you think? Always hungry. Well, we know. Good. So, you know, that pace, is that the pace that you expect?
You know, everyone's different.
Right.
Right? And so, you know, this was originally created for Kathy, who was mentioned in that Providence Journal article. And she is, you know, she's a pretty tech-savvy person and wants to communicate as quickly as possible. And so we built this with her in mind so that she can type quickly to get her thoughts out there. For others, you know, we've created much simpler systems where maybe it scans through the alphabet and what they do is wiggle an eyebrow or move their eyes in order to select something.
Well, I can see. Do you want to demonstrate anymore?
No, that's it.
Can you relax?
That works. Yeah.
Okay, relax.
Yeah.
Good, because you know you're well, good job everybody on that, because that was where I wanted you to be able to see just an example. You know, my mom, as I was telling you, who was a full quad, the one technology that we were able to take advantage of and worked pretty well. She could speak.
Okay.
She lost her ability to speak in the last year or so, but for the most part she could speak. But what she could do is she could move her wheelchair simply by moving her tongue. So that was pretty cool, mobility-wise.
Right.
But I would imagine as the speaking thing goes away, it's a complete nightmare, right?
It is, and you know, I think so. You know, using tongue movements, for example, great creative way of allowing her to control her wheelchair.
I was always amazed about that. I mean, she literally, you know, like it, and she'd go left. It's like, whew, which took a little bit of burden off of us as we were trying to, and it was a big, heavy chair and everything. But where do you want to go with this?
Yeah.
What about the very idea that someone can do you think you'll get to the place where someone can just think something and make something happen?
So my research actually at Brown was to do just that, which is to create what we call a brain-machine interface. And it's a small little sensor that we put in the brain that enables someone to control an external device just with their thoughts. And in fact, Kathy, who again was in that article, she was one of the first people who was enrolled in that clinical trial. So that is there. It's on the horizon. It's still early stage research at this point. But yeah, I mean, we think that one day tapping directly into the brain rather than using some other surrogate for what they're trying to do could be the solution for many people out there.
Is that the kind of thing that will still be in the context of off-the-shelf technology? In other words, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
are you going to try to keep your research to limited or purposeful in the financially feasible off-the-shelf technology world, or does that go to another stratosphere, and that's something that's going to be a neurological implant by a surgeon type of thing, whatever? Yeah,
you know, I think for me personally, it's kind of, we're taking a two-pronged approach here. One is to do this research to develop that technology, the implantable type. But the other is to leverage some of these low-cost, off-the-shelf solutions. And I think depending on the person, their abilities, again, and their needs, we'll try to use the
If
appropriate device.
If somebody wants this, can they get it now from you?
So right now what we're doing is we're still a very early stage organization. I'd still say a lot of what we have here are prototypes, things that we're testing with clients.
Right.
So right now, it's not like you can just buy it from us just yet. But we are open to working with other people in need. If people are interested, they can go on our website.
Yeah, please do. Get on. We'll put that up again, Kev. The website, speakyourmind.org, speakyourmindfoundation.org. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And it'll hook into the investment opportunity, and of course, you can get in touch with
That's
Dan through the website.
Right.
I only have like 40 seconds left in a fascinating conversation. What should we know? What do you want to say?
One thing I can say is one of the things I'm really excited about is that we have volunteer developers doing a lot of this work. So it's really smart students at Brown. We had a really great marketing communications firm called Pop Kitchen here in Rhode Island help us do our website and the video that you saw. So I'm just really happy that we've really come together as a community here in Providence to help solve this problem. And I hope that with the support of people like you helping us kind of get our word out, that we can continue to do that.
All right, this is not our last show. I mean, I think this work is so phenomenally important. Congratulations, man. Way
Thank
to
you
go.
so much.
Great stuff. SpeakYourMindFoundation.org. Your state of mind when we come back. What great work Dan is doing with his particular project. If you've got one and there's a story you want to tell on these kind of nights when we've got the time, love to have you. Just let us know through your state of mind. You know how it is. You can leave us a message at 228-1886. And content for the show, of course. We'll play that on the air. Email us at stateofmind@myritv.com or Facebook, tweet at us, Dan York Show. Don't forget the E. Thanks very much. Appreciate your tuning in. We'll be back with our next program, right back into the issues of the day, the rundown, and the guests, and the whole thing, the whole combat. Have a great night. Thanks for tuning in so much. Appreciate it.